In today's video, I am taking you through a full annual planning and goal setting workshop so we can make this next year the best year of our lives. Honestly, New Year's is my Super Bowl. I am so excited. I don't know if you can feel my excitement and extreme caffeination through the screen. As always, there will be timestamps in the description and the comments in case you want to jump around to the sections that are most interesting to you. I'm going to be pretty vulnerable and honest with you guys about some of my mistakes and learnings from this past year. Grab a notebook, a drink, and a snack, and 30 minutes from now, after you've watched this video and filled out all of the prompts we're going to talk about, you will have your 2025 plan to create your dream life. We're going to start with an audit of the last year to figure out what worked and what didn't work. Then we are going to plan our entire year together. We'll talk about all the things that we can do to make sure that we can actually achieve our goals and not just set them and forget them, because we have all been guilty of that, myself included. We have to start with the most difficult part, which is auditing our previous year. So for the first section of the audit, we're going to go through the goals that we did achieve and write down what those goals are and why we feel like we achieved them. Against my better judgment, I am going to give you personal examples for these. One goal that I achieved last year was I did lose about 20 pounds of fat, which I am very proud of and very excited about. And as a part of that, I also got into the best physical shape of my life, both physique-wise, but also just in terms of my fitness and physical abilities. The reason why I was able to achieve those goals, at least based on my own assessment, was because I hit the ground running in January. I got straight into it and I was super motivated and excited. I also found it so helpful to track progress. It helped me so much to stay motivated and engaged, knowing that I was actually seeing results every single week. The last thing I think was super helpful was that I set a deadline. So essentially I had a photo shoot planned for August and I knew I wanted to look my best, feel my best at that photo shoot. So having that kind of deadline cutoff point helped me to stay on track and push myself a little bit harder than if I'd just kind of given myself the full 12 months to accomplish the goal. Like, for example, all right, this is the less fun part, but it's so important. So thinking about the goals we didn't achieve last year. Again, we're going to use the same process. So what those goals were and why we think we didn't achieve them. And the really key part is analyzing that why. It's a good time to just be totally honest with yourself. And it might be a little bit brutal, but this is a moment that we can learn from and grow from. That's at least what I'm telling myself, because I don't love doing this kind of reflection personally. I went back and forth on whether I was going to share the goals that I missed, and I'm honestly just too embarrassed to even share them. And here's why. These goals were so unrealistic and ridiculous. I never once believed that I could actually achieve them. So the why that I didn't hit them feels pretty obvious to me. Trust me, learn from my mistakes. Setting goals that just feel completely unrealistic and unreasonable, you set yourself up for failure and disappointment from day one. So I know this is something probably a lot of us have experienced, but there's also some really incredible research to support this. If we feel that our goals are too easy or too difficult, it doesn't actually activate the right parts of our brain and body to help us get out there and achieve that goal. So on a biological level, it's actually really important that we find that happy medium place for our goals where they're challenging, but they feel possible. Because if they don't feel possible, you just kind of immediately check out. At least that's what happened with me. Let's just be 100% honest here. It feels awful to not achieve your goals. I actually failed at a couple of my YouTube goals last year, both in terms of my posting goals and my growth goals. Honestly, that whole thing is just kind of embarrassing for me, and it's really hard for me to share because I hate failing. I hate not achieving what I want to achieve. But here's the thing. We all know that feeling sad, feeling guilty will not help us to achieve our goals for next year. So here's how I personally reframe it, and I would encourage you to try the same if you're also struggling with this. If you achieved all of your goals 100%, then you probably didn't challenge yourself enough. Back when I worked my full-time corporate tech job, a big thing at our company, and I know it's really common in tech companies, is that it is considered a win if you achieve even 50 or 60% of your targets. So the way I like to think about it is if I hit some of my goals, but not all of them, that's actually a win because it meant that I was really challenging and pushing myself. So next, I want you to think through your milestones and achievements throughout the year. These can be big or small, personal, career, school, health, really anything that you're proud of and you feel like you achieved. Back to another less fun thing to think about. What are the challenges that you faced throughout the last year? And I think this is a really good moment to kind of give ourselves grace a little bit. What were the unexpected things that came up and got in the way of achieving your goals? I think it's so important to acknowledge these things because life happens, you know? For me personally, I think one of the bigger challenges was not reaching the goals that I set for myself and kind of just creating these failure cycles. I felt like throughout this year, I was getting pulled in so many different directions with my business, my content, and it really distracted me from some of my original goals and my kind of original vision for the year. I also had some kind of unexpected personal challenges that I don't really want to get into just to protect the privacy of everyone involved. But yeah, sometimes you just got to roll with the punches, and things that you never would have thought of or expected just just pop into your life that you have to deal with and find a way to move forward, even though it can be really difficult. So last but not least, we are almost done with our audit. What were your main learnings from this last year? This is a really amazing time to reflect and really think about what are the mistakes that you've made that you won't make again, and what kind of new perspective and mindset can you take into this next year now that you know what you do and you've experienced what you have. My learnings from this last year are to, first of all, set goals that you think you can achieve. It feels obvious, but I think I got kind of peer pressured almost by a lot of like the courses and the content that I was consuming that I needed to push myself. And the reason why I wasn't successful was because I didn't set big enough goals for myself. So I thought, okay, I'll just set a massive goal, and then that means that it'll just happen. And that's not how that works at all, obviously. I also learned that staying focused in the small moments in the day-to-day is how you actually can achieve your goals. I learned that there will always be new shiny things that come up and try to distract you from your original path, but it's so important to remember what really matters to you and what you're really trying to achieve. My last learning is that you are your greatest asset. I've definitely invested more time and money in developing myself than I ever have this year, and it was honestly one of the best decisions that I made this whole year. Okay, audit is over, and now it's time to move on to the best part of this entire session, which is setting our goals and creating our dream life. It is time to write your 2025 story. The first step is envisioning your future self. Imagine it's the end of the year next year, you're out to dinner, you're celebrating something. What is it that you have achieved? What are you there celebrating? For this brainstorm that we're about to do, there are no limits. You're not going to show these to anybody. They're completely personal for you. It's important to consider each different area of your life. So you can break this down however you want, but I like to use these categories. The first is health, fitness, and wellness. The second is lifestyle and relationships. And the third is business and career, or depending on if you're a student, this might also be academics. When I'm doing this, I love to put on some music and just get into a good vibe. Just kind of enjoy daydreaming a little bit and imagining what your dream life looks like at the end of this next year. Okay, next we are doing something I like to call the goal filters. For each goal that I write, here is a set of questions that I ask myself to make sure that I'm creating goals that are actually achievable and that I genuinely care about. First thing, is it measurable? So for example, if your goal was to post more on YouTube, you could convert that to say post 1 video a week on YouTube. Next is the goal within your control. This is subtle, but it's so important. It's possible you get to the end of the year and you did everything you could and you still weren't able to actually hit that goal because you set a goal that was actually outside of your control. For example, if you had a goal to gain 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, I would change that goal to actually be post once a week consistently on YouTube, because posting once a week consistently is almost entirely within your control. Whether or not posting once a week is actually going to lead to that increase in subscribers, you have no direct control over that, right? You can't force people to subscribe to your YouTube channel and watch your content. Another example would be if your goal was to get your dream job, maybe you want to actually shift that to be applying to 100 open roles in marketing or whatever your dream career sector is. Next question, would you still be happy if you got halfway there? If yes, I think that's a great goal. If no, then you might want to think about making it a little bit more challenging, because like we talked about, if we're achieving all of our goals 100% of the time, that might be a sign that they're a little bit too easy. Next, do you genuinely believe you can do it? If not, how can you adjust it? Maybe your goal is to lose 30 pounds in the year, but you hear that and you're just like, dang, that's a lot and I just don't feel like that's realistic. Maybe you can set the goal for 10 pounds or 5 pounds or something that just feels reasonable and feasible for you, because like we talked about, if it doesn't feel realistic, there's basically no chance you'll be able to achieve it. Last and maybe most important, do you really want this? Is it meaningful to you? This is the time to cross out any goals that you feel like you should want to please your parents, your family, to impress your friends because you saw someone on social media doing it, or just otherwise feel pressured to want but don't genuinely want or feel connected to yourself. Okay, now that we have the goals that have survived the goal filter, we're going to take this list and chop it into 4 pieces, and then taking it quarter by quarter rather than doing it on a yearly timescale. Main reason why is something called the middle problem, where essentially research shows that the longer the time horizon is for our goals, the harder it is to actually stick to them, because the middle part of achieving a goal is so boring. The beginning of the goal is exciting because you're motivated and you're like ready to get out there and get after it, and obviously the end is great because you're about to cross the finish line, but that part in the middle where you're just chugging along is just boring. Basically, the only New Year's resolutions I've actually stuck to have been goals that I've worked on in short bursts. These goals will always be here for you to come back to in the future if you do want to pursue them, but I think it's so helpful to give yourself the flexibility to change course by saying, okay, I'm going to focus on a couple of things for this first quarter and then reassess at the next quarter. I just find that a year is way too long of a time horizon to actually achieve what we want to achieve, and it's so easy to just think, oh, I have all this time, I don't need to worry about it right now, I've got 12 months, so I'll start next month, and just push things off. I think shortening that time horizon and being really focused focused and dedicated to a couple of goals rather than spreading yourself really thin across like 6, 7, 8, 9 goals is so much more effective. The next step is to write a letter to your future self. Here's where it's a little bit traumatizing for me. I have been writing letters to my future self for like the last 4 or 5 years. The problem was I have created failure cycles for myself because I have consistently set goals that were just way too unrealistic and challenging. And then I spend the whole letter talking about how excited I am for my future self to open the letter and have achieved those goals. And then the letter pops into my email inbox. I haven't achieved the goals yet, and I'm super sad. I started to resent and totally hate opening these letters because I just felt so disappointed in myself and like ashamed every single time. And then I realized I'm actually writing these letters and I'm in control, so why am I making myself feel terrible for no reason? So this is what I recommend you do instead to avoid that pain and suffering. Write a letter to encourage your future self. So I love saying things like, I hope you feel this way, or I hope right now you're prioritizing this. Honestly, give yourself a pep talk. It's so helpful to connect to and think about your future self. Think about what you can do right now for them. It's so easy to disconnect from the fact that the choices we make right now are the choices our future self will have to deal with, whether that's financial, career choices, health choices, staying up really late even though you have a 6 a.m. alarm scheduled. Research shows that we make better decisions for our health, our finance, our overall well-being when we are connected to, visualizing, and thinking about our future self. So I find the future self letter a really fun thing. It pops in your inbox. It reminds you of your goals, what you're working towards. You get to hear from a past version of yourself and think back to that time and how much you've grown and achieved. But also just this exercise of thinking about, considering, and visualizing your future self makes it so much easier to make the right choices right now. Next, we are going to write your story. This might sound a little bit odd, but I promise it's actually really helpful and really effective. The challenge is to write your story as if it's already happened. If you want to reach your goals, you have to believe that you can. I'm a little bit nervous to be talking about it because if I don't end up doing it, then it's documented forever on the internet that I failed at it, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. One of my goals this year is to do a high rocks competition with my boyfriend. So for example, for that goal, you would write, I've completed a high rocks competition. I remember what it felt like crossing the finish line and receiving my medal, writing out all the details and really feeling what it would feel like to achieve that goal and cross the finish line, whether it's real or metaphorical. This is also so important because it helps us connect emotionally to our goals, which will help us to stay motivated and consistent in the long run. I also love to come back to this when I need motivation because I feel like feeling the feeling of achieving your goals is so much more powerful than just thinking about a goal that you want to achieve. I think this is also a really great time to make a vision board if you're into that. I personally love vision boards. I just recently made my 2025 vision board and I have it as my phone background and my computer background. It's so fun. It's just a vibe. The last step, the most important step, is getting to work. Now we have all gotten a dopamine hit from writing out, thinking about our goals, creating our dream life, writing our dream story. But very importantly, we have not done anything yet. My challenge to you and to myself, which I'm gonna do right after this video, I promise, is to take one step towards your goals immediately after you finish watching this video. Even if you wanna just start small, like setting your alarm for tomorrow morning if your goal is to wake up earlier, getting in your first workout from a new program that you're starting. If you can't take action right after this video, that's okay. Set a reminder to do it today or tomorrow. Since we did quarterly goals, it's also a great time to set a reminder for April 1st or 3 months from now, depending on when you're watching this video, to revisit and pick your goals for the next quarter. We have to remember, a goal without a plan is just a wish. Now is the perfect time to think about the how you're gonna get there and create those systems you can follow to actually achieve those goals. So if you wanna work on your fitness, find a workout plan that you're gonna follow. If you wanna eat healthier, make a grocery list of healthy foods and save some healthy recipes. If you wanna lose weight, calculate your maintenance calories and figure out what your deficit is gonna be. The fun part is over. The cutesy part is over, where you've got your notebook and your coffee and you're hanging out and planning things out, making a vision board. Now it's the hard part, but it's also the meaningful part. Like, it's incredible to imagine how much your life can change in a year. Seriously, the new year is such an exciting and energizing time. I hope you can take that energy and excitement and put it towards building good habits and prioritizing yourself, because truly reaching our goals is just the culmination of hundreds or thousands of small steps that we take. Now, if you're looking for a workout plan to start in the new year, especially if you have a busy schedule and you don't have hours and hours to spend at the gym every week, my Ignite 8-week workout program is actually on sale right now. You can get 20% off with the code FIRST100, but be quick, it does only last for the first 100 people to use it. Thank you so much for watching and doing your annual planning with me. It is seriously such an honor. I am so excited for this year. This is it, okay? This is gonna be the best year of our lives. I can feel it. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure to subscribe. I upload new videos every week and I will see you next time.